I didn't know the water was ancient. I didn't know the stone ring around the well was older than every building in the valley, or that the moss clinging to its sides held stories that no human tongue had spoken in centuries. All I knew in that trembling instant was the shock rolling through my body as the world around me pulsed like a heartbeat. The air shifted first, a low vibration rolled across the clearing, stirring the leaves of the tall pines. My fingers loosened around the cold metal bucket I had just raised to my lips. I felt a tremor run through my spine, sharp and electric, as if something inside me had awakened from a long, heavy sleep. Then the sky darkened. Not like clouds, not like dusk. It was like something vast and unseen had stepped between me and the sun. I remember lifting my gaze slowly, painfully slowly. As a shadow stretched across the clearing, I remember hearing my own breath, ragged, uncertain, trapped between awe and terror. And then I saw her. She stood behind the well, towering above the tallest pines. Her form was unmistakably human, every curve, every contour, every movement flowed with an elegance no creature of myth should have been able to hold. Her skin shimmered softly like marble, touched by starlight, and her hair, long and dark as a raven's wing, cascaded over her shoulders and drifted behind her as though the air itself bent to her presence. Her beauty was overwhelming, not in a seductive way, but in the way ancient temples or distant galaxies overwhelm the heart with a magnitude far beyond comprehension. She was a giant, a woman of impossible stature and impossible grace, and yet her eyes were the most human thing I had ever seen. Deep, luminous, filled with a quiet sorrow that made my chest tighten. She lowered her head slowly, inclining toward me. The ground trembled as she stepped forward, though her movements were gentle, deliberate, almost reverent. And when she spoke, her voice was not the thunder I expected. It was soft, warm, but layered with something that felt older than the world itself. "You have no idea what you've become," she said. Her words struck me harder than any earthquake. They reverberated through my bones. They shook something inside me awake. I stepped back, stumbling, my boots scraping against stones. What are you?" I whispered. The question left my lips without permission, carried by a trembling I couldn't hide. She studied me with a calm too deep to read. "I am called many things," she replied gently. "Guardian, watcher, sentinel of the forgotten waters. But you..." Her gaze drifted downward, as if she were searching for something within me, something invisible. "You should not have drunk from the well." My heart pounded against my ribs. I could still taste the water on my tongue, strangely sweet, impossibly clear. I had been hiking alone for hours, thirsty, exhausted. I hadn't thought twice before lowering the bucket. "I didn't know," I said, choking on the words. "It was just water." "I didn't mean it was never just water," she murmured, and the sorrow in her voice deepened. She straightened, her immense silhouette framed by fading daylight. "That well is older than your memories, older than your kind. It holds the remnants of what once was, and the seed of what may yet return." "I don't understand," I breathed. "You will," she said softly, "but not here." A chill spread through me, starting at my fingertips, moving inward like frost creeping across glass. I looked down and saw faint lines of pale light threading beneath my skin, pulsing in time with my heartbeat. Panic surged. I rubbed my arms, but the light didn't disappear. It grew brighter. "What is happening to me?" She reached out a hand, not to touch me, but to steady the air between us. Even that slight motion stirred a breeze that brushed my face. "The well has chosen you," she said. "And by drinking from it, you have accepted a legacy that cannot be undone." "I don't want a legacy," I said, my voice breaking. "I just wanted water." Her expression softened with something close to pity. That is how all stories begin. With not knowing, she crouched down, bringing her immense face closer, her eyes level with mine. And for the first time, I saw not just beauty, but depth, like staring into a vast sea filled with storms and centuries. "Listen to me," she said quietly. "There are forces awakening around you. Forces that will come searching. Some will want to guide you. Others will want to claim you, but none will ignore what you now carry within your blood. I swallowed hard. What did the well do to me? Her lips parted to answer, but she hesitated. I could see the conflict ripple across her features, the weight of whatever truth she held pressing against her. Finally, she said, "It gave you a fragment of its power. A power that once belonged to those who walked alongside the giants." My breath caught. Giants, like you. Her eyes lowered. Like what I once was, but not what I am now. I didn't know how to respond. Every word she spoke only deepened the impossible reality closing around me. And yet, standing there small, trembling, overwhelmed, I felt something tugging at the edges of my awareness, like a memory I had never lived trying to find its way to the surface. The light beneath my skin brightened again. She inhaled sharply. "It's already beginning. What is you are awakening faster than I expected." The ground trembled again as she turned her head, scanning the forest. Her expression shifted from sorrow to urgency. "We must leave this place. You are not safe here anymore." A cold gust of wind swept through the clearing, bending the trees. The sky flickered, as though something enormous and unseen moved behind it. My pulse raced. "Leave. Go where?" She extended one hand toward me still, keeping a respectful distance, yet offering protection, guidance, a path into a world I had never imagined. "Come," she said. "If you stay here, the others will find you first." I stared at her, my mind trembling between terror and trust. And then the light inside me flared bright and sudden, like a silent explosion. Her eyes widened. "Now," she said, urgency threading her voice. "Before the world remembers you, the earth shuddered again." And before I could speak, before I could question, I stepped toward her. Without knowing what I was becoming, without knowing what hunted me, without knowing that drinking from that ancient well was the moment my life, my very humanity began to unravel. The forest felt different as soon as I stepped toward her, like the air itself tightened, listening, waiting. The giant woman lifted her gaze toward the tree line, her expression hardening as if she sensed something moving through the shadows. She didn't touch me. She didn't have to. Her presence alone guided me forward, and I followed her instinctively, as if some invisible thread now connected us. "Stay close to my steps," she instructed, her voice resonating with quiet gravity. "The awakening will draw eyes, and not all will be kind." I nodded, though I wasn't sure she even saw the gesture from her towering height. The faint glow beneath my skin still pulsed, fading and brightening in uneven waves that made my fingers tremble. Each flicker felt like a heartbeat that wasn't mine. I hurried beside her massive strides, stumbling over roots as the ground quivered gently with each of her steps. The forest canopy split above us, revealing pieces of the pale sky between shifting branches. The light dimmed unnaturally as though the day itself recoiled from what I had become. After several minutes, the ground dipped into a valley covered in silver mist. Her pace slowed. She glanced down at me with concern etched across her luminous features. "Tell me," she said softly, "what do you feel?" I hesitated, placing a hand over my chest. "It's like something is moving inside me," I admitted. "Like remembering a name I never learned." She exhaled a breath that rippled the mist around us. "It is memory, yes, but not your own. The well does not grant power, only inheritance. A fragment of something ancient has aligned with your spirit." "My spirit," I repeated, struggling to keep up with her terms. "Are you saying I'm possessed?" "No," she answered firmly. "You are not a vessel. You are becoming more of yourself, but a self you were never meant to access." The words spun through my mind like falling stones. "How can that make sense?" I asked. "How can I become something I wasn't meant to be?" She gazed ahead, her eyes distant. "Because long ago, it was decided your kind would forget. That the world would forget. That the giants would fade, and the echoes would sleep beneath the earth. The well was sealed, hidden, watched. But time erodes all boundaries. The world shifts, and the well chose you." A shiver crawled down my spine. Why me? She stopped suddenly. I nearly collided with one of her enormous ankles. She turned with deliberate grace, lowering herself to one knee so her face hovered level with mine. Up close, her features were impossibly detailed lashes, long as brushstrokes, irises that shimmered with constellations, lips shaped with such precision and softness it was impossible not to stare. I do not know why it chose you, she whispered, but I know what it means. She pointed to the faint light flickering beneath my throat. Those lines, they match the marks of the old alliance. The bond forged between humans and giants in an age lost to dust. My breath caught. So, I've been marked, she confirmed, and awakened. I dared to ask what happens when the awakening completes. Her eyes softened with an emotion I couldn't decipher: fear, or empathy, or both. You will see the world as it once was. You will hear its ancient pulse, and the sleeping forces those who swore to protect or destroy what remains will feel you as clearly as a beacon. The forest rustled around us, branches shaking though no wind moved through them. She looked up sharply. They are already searching, she whispered. The mist around us trembled. I turned, hearing distant cracks, branches snapping, stones rolling, something massive shifting beyond the veil of trees. Who? I asked, panic rising in my throat. Who's searching for me? Shadows, she replied. The word alone chilled me. Remnants of the forgotten age, not creatures, but echoes of what once held form. They seek the power in your blood. I swallowed hard. What do they want with it? Her voice dropped. To unmake you, and claim what awoke. My legs nearly gave out. Why are you helping me then? Why save me? She paused. Her eyes lowered, and for the first time she looked almost fragile. Because I remember, she murmured, because I once swore to protect the bearers of that light. Even after my kin fell, even after I changed, even after the world forgot who we were. She stood slowly, rising like a living mountain, her silhouette framed by the shifting mist. I tried to steady my breathing as she stepped forward again, guiding me deeper into the valley. What exactly did you become? I asked cautiously as we moved. She didn't answer immediately, her silence stretched, heavy and filled with pain. Finally, she said, a guardian without a world, a sentinel without a people, a giant only in form, not in purpose. I was meant to watch the well, but not to intervene. Now I have broken the silence. Her voice cracked ever so slightly, a tiny fracture in her otherwise unyielding calm. I had forgotten what it meant to care for a human, she whispered, until I saw the light moving within you. The same light the ancient bearers held when they stood beside us. I felt the glow beneath my skin respond, pulsing warmer, softer, as if acknowledging her words. I shivered. We reached a ridge of smooth stone emerging from the earth like the back of a colossal creature. She extended one hand toward it. The stone shimmered beneath her touch, glowing faintly as ancient runes surfaced, illuminating the mist. A hidden passage cracked open wide enough for her and stretching into darkness that seemed deeper than any cave. Where does this lead? I asked. To a sanctuary, she replied. One of the last places the shadows cannot reach easily. You mean they can reach it eventually? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The tremor in her jaw told me everything. We stepped inside, the stone sealed behind us, cutting off the outside world with a heavy echo. Inside, the air was colder, but calm, filled with a faint resonance, like distant humming. The walls glowed with faint traces of light, forming patterns that shifted gently, like constellations drifting underwater. As we walked deeper, I felt a pressure build behind my eyes. My skin tingled with stronger pulses of light. I stumbled, catching myself against the wall. Easy, she said softly. The power is aligning with your senses. It will heighten everything: sound, sight, memory. I inhaled shakily. It hurts, I know, she replied, but you must endure. The sanctuary will reveal what you now carry. The tunnel widened into a chamber bathed in soft golden light that radiated from no source I could see. and in the center of the chamber stood something that froze me in place, a stone pedestal. Upon it, a shape, faintly glowing, faintly pulsing. Exactly like the light beneath my skin, the woman halted beside me. Her voice trembled. "It is time," she said, "for you to understand the truth." The light inside me flared again so bright I had to shut my eyes, and the chamber began to shake. The chamber trembled like a living heart, its walls pulsing with slow waves of golden light. I staggered, shielding my face as the glow rippled from the pedestal in the center. It wasn't just light, it was rhythm, a call, a memory that wasn't mine pressing against my thoughts, demanding to be known. Beside me, the giant woman lowered to one knee, her silhouette towering yet reverent. Her presence was steady, grounding me as the air hummed, like distant thunder. "Do not resist it," she said quietly. "The memory will not harm you." I tried to breathe, but each inhale felt thick, heavy, like wading through a dream. What exactly is it?" She looked at the pedestal, with an expression that held reverence and grief. "A relic of the old alliance. One of the last fragments of power shared between humans and giants. It recognizes you because of the well. It calls to its counterpart in your blood." Her words seemed impossible, unreal, yet the pulsing beneath my skin answered the relic like a heartbeat echoing across a vast distance. The pedestal's glow intensified, drawing my gaze. Atop it rested something small, leaning unexpectedly small for the magnitude of what surrounded it. A crystal shard, no larger than a bird's feather, hovering slightly above the stone. Its surface was etched with shifting patterns of silver and pale gold, flowing like liquid light. As I stepped closer, the shard brightened. The giant woman placed a gentle hand in front of me, not touching but warning, "Be careful. It has waited a long time to be awakened." I swallowed hard. "Awakened for what?" She inhaled slowly. "To reveal to you what you are becoming." The moment she said it, the shard released a soft chime, a sound like a single note played on an ethereal instrument. The chamber responded instantly, walls brightening, runes spiraling outward in intricate constellations. The light made my vision blur at the edges. Then everything fell silent. The shard rose higher, suspended in midair, and a beam of pale gold extended from it straight toward me. I braced myself, but it didn't strike. It hovered inches from my chest, waiting, asking permission in its own strange way. "I don't know if I can do this," I whispered. "You can," the woman said softly. There was a warmth in her voice I hadn't expected. "You are not alone." I nodded, though fear knotted my stomach. Slowly, I raised my hand toward the light. The moment my fingers touched it, the world shattered, but not with pain. With vision, a rush of images flooded my mind, blinding, overwhelming. I gasped, but I couldn't pull back. It felt like falling through centuries at once. I saw colossal figures striding across endless plains, their shadows stretching across valleys. Giant women and men, radiant with power, laughing, building, learning beside humans who walked among them without fear. I saw cities crafted from stone and light, spiraling towers shaped by hands far larger than any humans, bridges connecting mountain peaks, vast gardens tended by giant guardians whose movements were gentle as wind. I saw humans standing beside them, tiny, compared to their massive allies, yet treated as equals, partners, bearers of a shared power. Then the visions shifted. I saw war. The sky burned, the plains cracked open. Shadowy forces, shapeless roaring, twisted rose from rifts in the earth, devouring everything in their path. Giants fell, their light dimming as they crumbled into dust. Humans, too, were hunted, their shared power targeted, stolen, extinguished. I felt their fear, their desperation, their fading hope. Then one image lingered long enough to crystallize in my mind, a circle of giant sentinels surrounding a well of shimmering liquid light. Their hands extended, their power pouring into the water, sealing it, locking away the last remnant of their bond, guarded, hidden, forever, until me. The visions flickered, dissolving as the present snapped back into place. I staggered, falling to my knees as the chamber swayed around me. The shard dimmed softly and settled back onto the pedestal. My hands shook, my breath wouldn't come. The giant woman leaned closer, concern shadowing her luminous features. "Do you understand now?" she asked gently. I looked up at her, my voice raw. They were allies, humans and giants. They fought together, lived together. The well was created to protect the last of that shared power, she finished. A power meant only for a select few. Those chosen to carry the memory, the strengths, and the ancient bond. But when the age of giants ended, your kind forgot, and the well became a myth. I pressed a hand to my chest. The pulsing light beneath my skin answered, soft but undeniably present. Why would it choose me? Why now? Her expression grew thoughtful. Because something is stirring in the world once more. The shadows you saw in the visions, they never died. They lingered, broken and weakened, waiting for a spark. And I'm the spark. I whispered, yes, she said quietly. And they can feel you. Even now. She looked toward the sealed entrance, her jaw tightening. They are moving, hunting. Drawn by your awakening, fear coiled inside me like a living thing. I never asked for this. No bearer ever did, she murmured. But the power does not choose lightly. Her eyes softened, their immense depth reflecting a sorrow I hadn't understood until now. I failed my people, she said quietly. I failed the humans who once trusted us. When the giants fell, I survived, changed, diminished, left only with the duty to guard the well. For centuries, I lived in silence, alone. Watching the world forget us, she lifted her gaze to me, her voice trembling. But when you drank from the water, I saw the light return, not the past, but the possibility of something new. A lump formed in my throat. I'm not ready for any of this. No one is ready for destiny, she replied softly. But you are not helpless. The relic showed you the truth, so you would understand what you carry. It has chosen you as its bearer. The relic pulsed once, gently, as if acknowledging her words. I stood shakily, looking from the shard to the woman towering over me. What do we do now? Her eyes darkened with urgency. Now we prepare and we flee. The shadows will reach the sanctuary soon. The relic will protect you only so long as you remain near it. But there is another sanctuary, a place where the last giant oath was sworn. A place where your transformation can be completed safely. Transformation? I repeated, heart hammering. You mean I'm going to? I couldn't finish the thought, but she understood. You will not become a giant, she said gently. But you will become something more than human. Something the world has not seen in an age. My breath caught. Outside, the stone door trembled faintly at first, then harder, as if something pressed against it from the other side. The giant woman rose to her full height, her voice deepening with command. We must leave. Now. A fissure crawled across the sealed entrance. The shadows had found us. The fissure stretched across the stone door like a crack in the world itself. Thin at first, then widening with a low groan that echoed through the chamber. Dust drifted from the ceiling in soft trails. The golden light of the runes flickered, dimmed, then pulsed again as if bracing against an unseen pressure. The giant woman stepped forward, placing herself between me and the trembling entrance. Her towering figure cast a long shadow across the sanctuary floor. Even without touching the stone, I could feel the protective force radiating from her hand, ancient strength sharpened by fear. Not fear for herself, fear for me. The shadows move faster than I thought, she murmured. Her voice trembled, not with doubt, but with urgency. They sense your awakening. They hunger for it. Another strike slammed against the stone, harder this time. A deep, resonant boom rippled through the chamber. The runes across the walls flickered again. I stepped back instinctively. What happens if they break in? They will unravel you, she said. Piece by piece until your light is theirs. My chest tightened. The glow beneath my skin pulsed violently in responses if recoiling from her words. She lowered her gaze to me, her expression softened by something painfully human. We must reach the mountain sanctuary. It is the last place they cannot enter freely. There, the relic's bond with you can be completed. Completed how? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. By merging the shard's memory with yours, she explained. Once unified, the shadows will not be able to claim it. But time is not on our side. The stone door buckled inward. A piece of it fell away, dissolving into black dust before it even hit the floor. My breath hitched. What are those things? I whispered. She didn't look back. Creatures without form, echoes of the ancient war. They feed on forgotten power. You are a spark in the dark one, too bright for them to ignore. The shadows seeped through the crack first. At least, that's how I perceived them. Liquid darkness, rippling upward in tall, jagged shapes. They had no eyes, no faces, no limbs. Yet their presence felt as heavy as gravity. My instincts screamed to run, though my legs refused to obey. The giant woman inhaled deeply, and the chamber stirred as if the air itself bowed to her. "Stay behind me," she commanded. The shadows surged again, slamming against the broken entrance. This time, the stone exploded outward in a cloud of black dust, and the sanctuary filled with a bitter cold wind that made my skin prickle. The moment they crossed the threshold, the relic responded. Light burst from the pedestal, blinding, pure, resonant. It washed across the chamber like a golden tide, slamming into the shadows with a crackling hiss. The creatures recoiled, their forms wavering like smoke in a storm. "They are weakened by the relic's presence," she said, "but not for long." She extended her hand toward me, still at a distance, still careful, still reverent. "Come, we must leave before they recover." The relic pulsed once more. The beam of light that had once connected me to it flickered, then reformed, threading its way from the shard straight into my chest. The impact made me gasp. "It binds to you now," she murmured. "Good. It will guide us." As she led me deeper into the sanctuary, a section of the wall peeled open like petals of stone, responding to her presence. Beyond it stretched a narrow passage descending steeply into the earth. She ducked her head and stepped through. I followed immediately, the glow beneath my skin bright enough to illuminate the path like a lantern. Behind us, the shadows howled an unearthly sound, cold and sharp, scraping against the walls. "They're coming," I whispered. "Yes," she said. "But this path will slow them." The tunnel plunged into darkness, but the symbol-like lines of light beneath my skin grew stronger the further we walked. The air grew warmer, humming with the same resonance I'd felt when touching the relic. The walls widened gradually, opening into a hidden expanse beneath the earth. A subterranean bridge stretched before us, a narrow path of stone, suspended over a vast abyss. Gentle beams of pale light drifted upward from below, like stars rising instead of falling. "This place," I whispered. "What is it?" "One of the last remnants of our world," she said softly. "A place built by the giants as a refuge. Humans walked here once, guided by our light." I stared at her hat, her tall, graceful figure cloaked in the soft glow of the cavern. Her presence was as overwhelming as ever. And yet, in this ancient silence, she felt strangely fragile. Like she carried far more than duty. She lifted her gaze toward the far end of the bridge. "We are close. Once we cross, your connection to the relic will stabilize." A violent tremor cut her words short. The bridge shook beneath our feet. The cavern's distant ceiling shuddered. Shadows spilled into the chamber behind us, unraveling like black lightning through the stone. "They found another way," she said, her voice darkening. "Run." I bolted forward across the bridge. She matched my pace with long, powerful strides. The stone beneath me trembled with every echoing step, sending pebbles tumbling into the endless darkness below. The shadows surged onto the bridge behind us, their forms twisting, stretching, collapsing, reforming. They moved like a tide of living night. My lungs burned. My heartbeat thundered. The light beneath my skin flared so brightly, I could see the bones in my hands through it. "They're too fast," I gasped. "Keep running," she replied, her voice strong, yet laced with fear. We reached halfway across the bridge when a shadow lunged its form, stretching outward like a claw. It lashed toward me. The giant woman moved with terrifying speed. She stepped in front of me, her hands sweeping through the air. And when her palm met the shadow, a burst of pale light erupted from her touch, sending the creature recoiling into the dark with a shriek. I looked up at her in shock. "You can fight them." "Only for a moment," she said, breathing hard. "My power fades. I am not what I once was." The shadows regrouped, the bridge cracked beneath them. The cavern roared with collapsing echoes. "We're not going to make it," I shouted. "Yes," she whispered, looking down at me with eyes filled with fierce certainty. "You will." Before I could question her, she swept her hand outward again, this time toward the relic's glow beneath my skin. A surge of energy rushed through me, lifting me off the ground like a breath of wind. "What are you doing?" I cried. "Saving you," she said. "The sanctuary is within your reach. Go." I was hurled forward by a force both gentle and unstoppable, landing safely near the far side of the bridge. I scrambled to my feet. She remained in the center of the bridge between me and the approaching shadows. "No, no, come with me," I shouted, reaching toward her. Her gaze softened, unbearably so. "I cannot," she said. "This passage will collapse. But if they take me, they will not take you." The shadows lunged, the bridge split down the middle. She closed her eyes, and the cavern shook as everything began to fall. The bridge exploded into fragments of stone and ancient dust. I watched in frozen horror as the giant woman, my protector, my guide through this impossible awakening, plunged downward with the collapsing passage. The shadows leaped after her like hungry storms, their forms unraveling and reforming in jagged streaks of black. Her figure disappeared in the chaos, swallowed by the abyss. "No," I screamed, my voice cracking against the cavern's roaring echoes. The ground beneath my feet shook, forcing me to stumble backward onto the stable ledge. A cloud of shimmering dust rose from the depths, drifting like smoke into the beams of pale light, rising from the chasm. For a moment, everything fell silent. No more tremors, no more howls. Just the vast, ancient quiet of a forgotten world breathing beneath the earth. I collapsed to my knees, my hands trembling violently. The glow beneath my skin flickered in disarray, as if mourning her fall. My chest ached not from fear, not from exhaustion, but from a grief so sudden it felt like a stone dropped into the deepest part of me. She had saved me, again and again, and now she was gone. I covered my face with my hands, trying to steady my breath, but tears streamed through my fingers. "Why?" I whispered. "Why save me and not yourself?" But the cavern gave no answer. Slowly, painfully, I pushed myself to my feet. The far end of the bridge, or what remained of it, led into a narrow passage carved with faint golden runes. The stone glowed softly as I approached, as if recognizing the relic's presence within me. I stepped inside. The passage was steep and winding, illuminated by the shifting light beneath my skin. My footsteps echoed down the narrow corridor. Each breath felt heavier than the last, not from the climb, but from the weight of everything she had left on my shoulders. After several minutes, the passage opened into a vast chamber much larger than the sanctuary above. The ceiling arched high overhead like the inside of a colossal shell, its surface covered in ancient carvings of giants and humans standing side by side. Rivers of faint golden light streamed down the walls like liquid stars. At the far end of the chamber stood a circular stone dais, surrounded by enormous pillars carved in the shape of giant guardians. In the center of the dais, glowing with a deep, steady light, rested another relic much larger than the first shard. A heart. Not a literal heart, but a crystalline shape the size of a boulder, pulsing with a rhythm that thrummed through the ground, through the air, through my bones. The moment I stepped closer, The light inside my skin surged in response, and for the first time, I felt it, a voice. Not spoken, but carried through the light itself. You who carried the fragment, come forward. My breath froze. The voice wasn't human. It wasn't giant. It was something ancient, something that felt like the well itself had awakened to greet me. I took a cautious step toward the glowing heart. "What are you?" I whispered. The chamber's light shimmered. The last memory of the giants. The voice answered. "A legacy sealed within the earth. And you, bearer of the shard, you are the bridge." The bridge between what? I asked. Between what was lost and what may yet rise again. I swallowed hard. I don't understand. Shishi told me the shadows wanted the power in my blood. She said I was awakening too fast, and now she's gone, and I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. The light pulsed gently, comfortingly. "Grieve for her," it said, "for she was among the last guardians. But know this truth, she is not gone." My heart lurched. "What do you mean?" "The giants do not vanish into oblivion. Their essence returns to the earth, to the stone, to the memory. She has not ended. She has returned. And she watches still." A tear slid down my cheek. "She sacrificed herself," I whispered. "She fulfilled her vow," the voice replied. "To protect the bearer, to protect you. Now you must complete what she began." The relic heart brightened, casting brilliant golden rays across the chamber. "Place your hand upon the memory, and you will understand what you have become." I hesitated. My hand trembled, but I stepped forward anyway. When my palm touched the crystallized surface, light burst through me, warm, soft, and all-encompassing. It didn't blind. It embraced. The glow beneath my skin synchronized with the relic's heartbeat, and suddenly, I felt everything. The ancient alliance. The unity between humans and giants. The fall of the great cities. The final stand. The sealing of the well. The centuries of silence. And beneath it all, a single lingering thread of hope. I gasped as the world returned to focus. The light dimmed and steadied. My body felt different, lighter, clearer, connected to something invisible yet powerful. The glowing lines beneath my skin flowed in symmetrical patterns, steady and strong. I was no longer just awakened. I was bound. The relic heart spoke once more. "The shadows will rise again. But now you carry the memory. You carry the light. And when the time comes, you will not stand alone." The chamber shook faintly. A soft wind stirred around me, bringing with it a warmth I recognized instantly. Her warmth, her presence, I turned, and there, in the drifting light, stood a silhouette, too tall to be human, too soft to be one of the shadows. A giant woman's outline, luminous and ethereal, formed from golden mist. She wasn't solid, not a body, but an echo, a memory. Her familiar eyes gazed down at me, gentle and proud. "Do not fear," she said, her voice like distant bells carried through wind. "I am with you. And one day, when your path rises high enough, you will see me again." My throat tightened. "I thought I lost you." Her expression glowed with warmth. "You found me. In the only place I could remain." The golden wind swirled around her. "You are stronger now," she whispered. "More than you know. Carry the light, protect it, and remember what you became. You became by fate, but also by courage." Her form flickered. I reached toward her instinctively, helplessly, but the light faded, dissolving into a gentle shimmer that drifted upward and vanished. I stood alone in the chamber, though I no longer felt alone. The path out of the sanctuary opened before me, glowing softly in welcome. The world above awaited, changed forever, yet unaware of what now pulsed beneath its surface. I took one final breath in the Chamber of Giants, and I stepped into my new destiny. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. It helps us bring more enchanting stories like this one to brighten your day. And let us know in the comments where in the world you're listening from. See you next time.